Hello and good morning. Thank you all for being here at the staff meeting today. In today's professional development moment, we will be discussing backwards design. I am sure that many of you are familiar with this model, so maybe this is just a refresher for you. I do only plan on taking about 4 to 6 minutes of your time, so please just follow along with me and pay attention. You can follow along up here on the projector with the PowerPoint, or you can access the slides that I emailed out to you guys last night. So what is backwards design? Backwards design is a model highlighted by Jay McTighe and Grant Wiggins in their book Understanding by Design Framework. Backwards design approach has instructors consider the learning goals of the course first. The framework developed by these two is based on 7 key tenets and 2 key ideas. The 2 key ideas are more important, so those are what I'm going to share. Those 2 key ideas are focus on teaching and assessing for understanding and learning transfer, and design curriculum backwards from those ends. Backwards design can also be referred to as understanding by design. Backwards design has 3 stages in it, and we'll be going over all 3. Stage 1, identify desired results. In the first stage, the instructor must consider the learning goals of the lesson, unit, or course. In this stage, we really focus on what we want students to learn, and in the end, what they do with what they have learned. Some questions to help you work through this stage are, what should students hear, read, view, explore, or otherwise encounter in my lessons? What knowledge and skills should students master? And what are ideas and information students should retain? Now, let's move on to step 2. Step 2 is to determine acceptable evidence. In the second stage, we as the teacher address the assessments and the performance tasks students will complete in order to show us that they understand and are also learning our content. In the previous stage, you develop the learning goals of your course or lesson, and due to this, you have a better vision of what your students can do to show what they have achieved, and they can show what you want them to. Just make sure that everybody is on the same page, instructor and student. At this stage, you'll also want to consider appropriate assessments for your learning goals. In order to achieve this, however, you're going to need to look at a wide range of assessments. So there's a lot of different things you can do to assess your students, and it's best to make sure that they're aligned with your goals, because if they're not, students will become confused. Some questions that you can ask yourself during this phase are, how will I know if students have achieved my desired results? And what will I as a teacher accept as evidence of understanding and proficiency in certain skills and knowledge areas? Stage 3 is plan learning experiences and instruction. So in this final stage of backwards design, you're just planning your learning experiences and instruction. So this is where all of your learning activities are created and your instructional strategies are developed. Because you have already established your learning goals and your assessment methods, you have a very clear understanding on how to teach this content to your students, how to teach the lessons that you've developed, how to teach the worksheets you've developed. All of that stuff is very clear now since you've worked from the end back to here now. Questions that you can ask yourself in this stage to help you out are, what knowledge and skills will students need in order to achieve desired results? What activities will equip students with the needed knowledge and skills? What will need to be taught and how will it best be taught? And what materials and resources will best help these goals be reached? So with the materials, like what textbooks, what worksheets will you give out? What study guides will you give out? All right, now it's your turn. Again, I want you to make sure that when we're doing this, it's with someone from a different content area than you. So like an elective teacher, I would like you to please match up with an English teacher or something of the sorts. So what you're going to do is you're going to think about how backwards design could better a lesson of yours. And then I want you to pair up with another teacher. And then I want you to share with one another. I'll give you a couple minutes to do that. All right, awesome. So in conclusion, I hope that we see that a lot of times starting and working backwards can really help our students learn and help us teach. Starting from the end point and saying, hey, here's what I want someone to do. Here's what I want my student to do. Then you can kind of go, okay, how do we get there? And work backwards from there. And it can be really efficient in classroom settings. You will have an exit ticket That exit ticket is due in a week. All you'll need to do is you just need to send an all staff email and just listing a couple takeaways you had from this. And then you have a PD points assignment. What that assignment is going to be is you are going to actually create a lesson with backwards design and teach it. So that's why I have assignments. So technically it's one assignment, but you are actually going to develop a lesson with backwards design and teach it. And then you will email that out to myself and administrators, and we'll be able to observe that lesson, and you will get 25 PD points once you do all of these tasks. Here are some of the references I used. I really recommend that you go and check some of these out. Again, I emailed you the PowerPoint, so these are extremely accessible to you. Thank you guys. Have a great day of teaching. I look forward to maybe doing this again for you in a staff meeting.